Hello, hello. Welcome to the Virgo Season Workshop. I'm Jenny Fitterer, and today we're going to be talking about everything that's going to be happening in this upcoming season in Virgo. So we're just going to continue as always. We're going to start with going through some of the transits that are going to be happening this season. So just whatever's going to be happening planetarily in the sky. And then we're going to finish with a tarot reading, a collective tarot reading, to kind of give a little bit of guidance in a kind of general way for you during this month and this season. So if I look like I'm kind of moving really stiff and a bit like a grandma, I did injure myself this week, so I'm not a robot. It's still me, but I'll just be moving a little bit more carefully. So yeah, we're gonna, which ironically is going to bring us right into our first theme of Virgo season in general. So Virgo season, the concept of Virgo, the archetype of Virgo, is all about service and healthcare. So when we come into Virgo season, we start to be thinking a little bit more about that which is healthy for us in our body, in our spirit, in our mind and emotions, in our community, in our ecosystem. It's starting to pay attention to health as a concept, that health is something that kind of ebbs and flows, that sometimes we have poor health, sometimes we have good health, and the connection that Virgo has to health and service has a lot to do with the healing arts and trying to be of service and healing community, working towards serving others, healing the body, and just being of service. So the archetype of Virgo following after Leo season, Leo had a lot of energy of self-confidence and focusing in on the self, and being in a social environment, but feeling that kind of confidence of being on the pedestal and kind of being in the spotlight. So from the spotlight of Leo season, Virgo takes a step off the spotlight and actually steps backstage and says, I want to help other people have their spotlight. I'm going to what looks like subordinate myself for a time conscientiously in order to be of service to somebody else. So Virgos already had their experience of being in the spotlight, taking care of themselves, knowing what their needs are, and now they're kind of building into community in an awareness of that other people have needs, other people have values, and that it can't be me, me, me all the time. It's correct to be me, me sometimes, but it's important to let and help others have their time as well and be in service to them. So Virgo is is an earth sign as well as a mutable earth sign. So earth signs are all about the material world and very much about the body and the physical plane of existence. Mutable signs they're the last month in the season. So Virgo season in the northern hemisphere, it's the last month of summer. And then in the southern hemisphere, it's the last month of winter. So mutable signs are all about changing from one state to another. So changing from one season to another. So there's a good amount of fluidity and flexibility. Earth signs are usually quite stable. So Virgo as a sign is very stable and grounded, but still flexible. So there's kind of movement. You're kind of picturing like a tree that bends and moves in the wind quite comfortably rather than being really stiff and rigid. So it's earthy, it's grounded, but there's still some movement and flexibility. So the Virgo as an earth sign as well is going to be, as it's tapping into the body, being aware of our conscious physical form. That's part of how Virgo works about healthcare and looking at healing, because they're aware of the body and aware of the hurts and pains that the body has. And once you feel that pain, specifically when you feel that pain in yourself, you can then work to heal it. But then you also, Virgo is looking at others and saying, oh, do you have this pain? Can I help you heal your pain as well? Can I be in service to you and work in the collective that way? So this season, Virgo is the sun moving into Virgo on August 22nd. This is in Pacific Standard Time where I live. So August 22nd, the sun moves into Virgo, and so as the sun moves in, the sun is this big light, is going to be shining a brighter light on Virgo themes. So in whatever way that looks like, you may suddenly, want to start, just have that feeling of like wanting to build different habits for your own health, whether that's exercise, whether that's food, whether that's meditation, whether just whatever it is. Virgo is quite analytical and logical, and likes order, really likes things to be in order. So Virgo season is a really great time for habit building for your health. So that is going to be a little bit more in the conscious collective. It's very much in my life right now as I'm struggling with some injuries. So I'm getting a lot of Virgo themes right now. So that's what we're going to be looking at. Virgo is connected to the digestion, so the lower intestines, and whenever the sun moves or planets move into a certain sign, you may also find that that's an area in your body that kind of lights up a little bit. So whether that is, oh, you are suddenly a bit more aware of your diet and paying attention to foods that make you feel good or maybe don't make you feel good. Not just foods though. When we're talking about digestion, that's anything that we consume and digest and get nutrition from. So that can be our social circles, that can be our media use, anything that we are ingesting into our minds as well as our bodies, we become a bit more conscientious of, and to see what we can use and keep and then what we can release, which is the role of the large intestine. The intestines is to absorb and then release what isn't going to be necessary. So this is a really good time to be thinking of those areas of the body. As well, Virgo can be quite critical and very analytical, but what that can look like is hypercriticism, a tendency to be anxious and worry, and also being like hyper critical or like self-conscious of self, being, oh, I'm just not very good at this, and kind of having that frame of thought running in your mind. So that's something you want to be aware of, to try to think about the value of those thoughts, being critical of yourself without going so far as to be self-punishing, or to be overly anxious. So if you have like a little bit more of a heightened buzz, even like feeling anxiety more in the stomach and in the viscera, that's very normal for the season. And just try to land into the strength of that, which is bringing your awareness to a certain space or bringing your attention to things that could be adjusted or changed, and then lean on that as a strength rather than letting it like hurt you or penalize you. So that's kind of that for the main themes of Virgo. So that's August 22nd, and of course when my eyes flick to one side, that's where my notes are there. So the next main transit is Uranus, that's currently in Taurus, is going to go retrograde on August 24th. So Uranus is a farther out planet, so the effects of Uranus are felt more in the collective and in our society and culture at large. It certainly can have effect on you personally, but this is as a further out, more social planet. It's kind of the larger changes. So Uranus as a planet is the planet of sudden change, unexpected upheaval, revolution, change happening, lightning bolt out of the blue, you don't see it coming. That's what Uranus is about. And being in Taurus is about our body, is about our structure, is about our finances, about our wealth. And so if we've been thinking about things that might cause us to change or revolutionize how we think about the body, how we think about our wealth systems. So in our personal lives and in society at large, we see Uranus coming in and shaking things up. That's been happening for a while, as he's been in Taurus for a while. But now Uranus is going retrograde, which means with any planet that goes retrograde, that the action of the planet often turns a bit more inward, or it's kind of like a redo. So retrograde is all about the words that start with like renewal, reorient, rethink, reestablish. And for Uranus, it's really revolution. So this is kind of like if we've been being introduced to things that have been shaking us up, retrograde for Uranus is going to be like going back over that first shake-up and saying, what you gonna do? Like, we shook the dice, we rattled the dice. Did you just wait for the earthquake to stop and then try to keep going a status quo? Like, woo, hope that doesn't happen again, but we're gonna keep maintaining everything we've done before. Uranus going retrograde is kind of like, look, man, we're serious about change. This isn't just like a headache that's going to pass. We need to change things. We need to shake things up. And so it might kind of feel like, oh, the gale's blowing back in again. And that opportunity is, maybe don't just try to ride it out and rock the boat, but think, yeah, okay, actually what does need to be changed? Taurus is a very fixed, steady sign. So Taurus is pretty stubborn, doesn't like to be changed. So Uranus coming in Taurus has a big amount of tension, which is to shake up our firm structures and foundations that make us feel safe, that we really don't want to leave. But so often, because we can get stuck in something and not want to leave, we miss out on the next opportunity of growth and change because we've just become complacent. So Uranus in retrograde is not allowing us to be complacent on all things related to Taurus. So be aware of that in your own life as well. So your body, your finances, your sense of safety and home and sensuality, but then also being aware of that more in the collective and culturally, socially at work as well, and just kind of keep an eye on that. So that's Uranus retrograding in Taurus on August 24th. The next thing we have is Mercury going into Libra August 25th. So Mercury Libra is an air sign. Libra is the sign of balance and harmony. And that's achieved through negotiation and trying to make all sides have their needs met. So Libra is really interested in partnership and getting everybody's needs met. And really trying to make sure that things are fair, that we've got this kind of just behavior. The downside of Libra can be just wanting harmony at all cost, and so pacifying, avoiding conflict when it would be useful, or just like regulating your own beliefs to the bottom because you just want to keep peace. So Mercury, being the planet of our thought and communication, moving into Libra means that we're maybe going to be kind of better negotiators, or we're going to be thinking about wanting to bring our thoughts into balance, wanting to communicate with our partnerships and in our relationships and try to get each other's needs met and be kind of building harmony in those relationships. And that's going to be more on our mind. Harmony, equality, and justice, and how we can negotiate that between equals. Is going to be more present. Mercury will have been moving out of Virgo into Libra, and there is one thing that just to be aware of, which is Libra as a sign, following this pattern where we had Leo was really about the self, Virgo becomes about being in service to the other. Libra is bringing that all into balance again, which is a healthy relationship between anybody, romantic, partnership, work, friendship, whatever it is, requires two sovereign beings that both have their own self-identity and ego, and they are both working to help the needs of the other. So it's like Leo and Virgo combined, making this Libra balance kind of happening there. So that's going to be something that you want to remember, those lessons of Leo and Virgo, of your own needs and then the needs of others, to bring into Libra season as Mercury goes in there. Okay, so Mercury, so that was August 25th, Mercury in Libra. The next transit we have is Venus in Virgo, September the 4th. So Venus has been in Leo, and Venus is our planet of values and pleasure and relationships, and like how we place value and our resources into our relating, and where we can find joy in that way. So we've been exploring these Virgo themes with Venus, of putting value in our own kind of healthcare, in finding value in being of service to others. My mistake. That's what we're moving into. Venus has been in Leo, where Venus has been able to get really excited and turned on by dramatic flair and passion and expression and being very vibrant and being in the center of the stage. Venus has really enjoyed kind of putting on her queen robes, and now Venus gets to kind of take a step back and find the value in being of service in relationship, and also having a committed work ethic. So there's another aspect of Virgo that's tied into this service component, but it's sort of like the energy of like the priesthood, or like a dedicate or a monk, not because of specifically the religious affiliation, but the idea of being dedicated to a work, a line of work that's practical physical work, but the dedication itself is a spiritual practice. So Virgo is embodying spiritual practice through practical work. So this can look like anything that's a tangible practice that becomes your meditative kind of focus and blessing. So whether it's your artistic rituals, whether it's being in nature or gardening, and just even the meditation of weeding and just doing that every day and committing to work in the land, whatever that may be, Virgo has the blessed work that fills you up. And so yes, it is a labor, but that labor brings you such fulfillment that you are happy to do so, to dedicate your life to it. So Venus is taking this planet of relationships and values into this sort of dedication where there's coming from this kind of fiery Leo feeling where we're kind of excited by the dramatic and the flair. This is coming in and finding value in the simple, finding value in the repetitive building blocks, and the smaller day-to-day that's not so flashy, the backstage work that's not the performer in the front stage and getting to share their lines and be all excited. It's the people all in the background who've been doing the lighting, who've been building the set, who've been keeps it running, and is putting their labor in to not be the spotlight, but to help others experience their spotlight. So the downside of this is Virgo still having those possibilities of being really self-critical or very anxious. Is this may bring in a little bit more kind of nitpicking, worrying, anxiety into your relationships. So if you find that you are either kind of bashing yourself in your relationships and feeling like, oh, I don't have value, or I'm not working hard enough, or I need to do and work in order to deserve love from my partner, I have to earn it. Or turning that around and being highly, highly critical of your partner, and just kind of being nitpicky without really having a purpose or being kind. That is something that can happen as well, for one of the downsides of Virgo in the signs of relationships. So that is something to be aware of. So if you focus in on the dedication and the ritual, as well as the joy of building something that is long lasting and healthy, and the joy that comes from helping and serving others, and how that's not you being subservient and suppressing your own needs, but it's taking care of your needs so that you can serve others, or being in relationship where you can be of service and you can also receive service from somebody else, where somebody else can be in their Virgo mode of looking to help, and then you receive that, and then you have your needs met that way as well. So this is focusing also in on that relationship of giving and receiving, where you cannot be in service to somebody who doesn't receive it, and you get to be on both sides of that coin, both the server and being served. So that's an important way to keep that energy in balance so that you don't just feel drained while we're kind of in this time. So you may, again, find yourself more drawn to the outdoors, working in the earth and being part of like the physical body of the world. So this is a really nice time to be involved if you have some nice outdoor options, to just kind of breathe into that. That may also be a good part of practice for your own mental and physical well-being, when that, if that kind of Virgo anxiousness kicks up as well, is that you can ground yourself in kind of grounding earth elements in order to kind of bring that kind of healing to yourself. So that's Venus in Virgo. So I'm just going to grab a drink of water here. Venus in Virgo moving into Virgo on September the 4th. And then the last major transit, the last major transit we have is Mercury is going retrograde again in Libra. So Mercury will have moved into Libra August 25th, and then September 9th, starting to go back. So Mercury has been doing a lot of retrogrades in air signs for the last little while. So he's kind of transitioning from retrograding in air signs to then retrograding into earth signs, but all of his retrogrades this year are starting in air signs. So again, retrograde being this time to rethink, reflect, reorient, and just go over our values. In this case, these are Mercury related things. So we're thinking, this is how we think and speak, and these are Libra values. So this is our partnerships with others. This is our relationship to justice, balance, and equality. and harmony. There's even elements in Libra that have to do with literal harmony in the musical sense. Libra is a very artistic and creative sign as well. So this can even be reflecting on our artistic consumption and the things that bring us joy and harmony, both to partake in the arts and to create the arts as well. So this may be a time as you reflect and think, man, like, I feel like I could use a little bit more vibrant art in my life, or maybe I could spend a little bit more time in that artistic space as well, and being connected to the creative muse as well, and not be so forward linear thinking I always have to work, I always have to do things out in the world, but I can reflect in music, and I can receive and surround myself in this creative muse space in this retrograde time. And maybe with that creative inspiration, when Mercury goes direct again, you'll have a new insight and a new potential inspiration that you can take forward. So retrograde, Mercury retrograde, of course, often has a bad rap as being very like a time of chaos and things messing up, communication messing up, technology messing up, just travel mistakes. And really that's more to do with the fact that when the retrograde energy takes us in a slow down and inner look, but we are still expecting and feeling like we're supposed to be pushing at the same speed. And that's usually when careless accidents happen, is you don't slow down to notice the detail. You don't back things up. You don't really think about the words you're saying before you send off an angry text, whatever it is. And if we just slow down and reflect, then we can save ourselves a lot of that trouble. Mercury as a planet is also the archetype of the trickster. So sometimes in retrograde, some of those flubs are just unavoidable. And instead of just feeling either angry about it or kind of victimized and woe is me, you can kind of try to find the humor in it. The humor in the pratfall of, wow, yeah, my ego wants everything to be perfect and get things right all the time, but sometimes things happen and you either get angry or you kind of laugh about it. So there's a very humbling aspect when Mercury goes retrograde and plays the trickster kind of thing on you. So it can help if you can find the humor and know that it is a transient moment and it's not always going to be this way. That gives you just a little bit of patience. So with Mercury retrograde in Libra, I would take extra caution with your conversation and communication in your partnerships. So romantic partnerships, certainly, business partnerships as well. You really just want to be aware of your words. Make sure that you're both working towards harmony and balance. And so as long as you're just trying your best and trying to be patient with each other, you will hopefully be able to work through any flubs that come up, but just a little bit of extra care in your conversations at that time as well. Okay, so that's September 9th. Mercury going retrograde in Libra. And that's pretty much it for the major planetary transits. We will have the new moon in Virgo on August 27th and the full moon in Pisces on September 10th. So if you follow lunar cycles, those are the dates for you. And that's pretty much it for the planetary transits. So we're going to do the tarot reading next. So as I shuffle, I'm just going to take this time to acknowledge that I here live and work on the Lekwungen territories of the Songhees and Esquimalt nations. And that here in Canada, we've been kind of really struggling to really work on our need for accountability and responsibility and reconciliation here. And I encourage you, wherever you are, if you're a settler on a land, to maybe think about that accountability and what you can do as well. So that's just something that's kind of always on the mind there. So I'm just going to be shuffling here, and we're going to pull a single card for the collective for the season of Virgo and see what's coming up. Okay, that one looks good. Okay, so we have the Two of Coins reversed. So this is the way it looks the right way up. We have this big kind of yellow background here with these, like this sort of red, almost humanoid shape and something else over here. And then in the middle, we have this big kind of Titan figure, and he's blowing this big wind, and he's blowing this big kind of red smoke out. And then here we have these two coins up, and it came out upside down like that. Okay, so we're going to take a look and see what the Two of Coins has for us today. Okay, Two of Coins, new realities, a greater reality. New facts, values, and results are appearing in your current situation. As a result, you will find your perspective shifting. Something that has always been present and possible is becoming clearly visible and gaining special significance. A true change always requires a reevaluation of the old. Your focus in life will alter. Old principles will become ambiguous. Formerly important habits suddenly seem questionable, and new tasks are added to old ones. You are in the midst of it all and experience yourself like never before. This is your opportunity to liberate yourself and to let go of what formerly appeared as constraints. You are called upon to see beyond your narrow view of life and to break free from your limited reality, like the red figures in the picture outside the central frame. You are encouraged to undergo a transformation and to expand your frame of life. Yet the card also warns you not to take yourself too seriously and not to puff yourself up or to become the victim of empty promises. You are neither the servant nor the master of circumstance. You have chosen in the past, and you are free to choose again and to put your life into a new context. When your focus in life changes, you will experience unexpected confirmation, but also much insecurity. This is a blessing for the development of your personality in spite of all the difficulties involved. Practical advice: pay attention to your knees. Do not let them become too soft or too rigid. Your ears and eyes, all of your senses, may be playing up for some time to come. This is because all of your perceptions are shifting, changing, and expanding as you attain a new focus in life. What is needed now are new results. They constitute your new task and will prove to be your mainstay. Okay, so this card is, it has a very, almost a major arcana feel in this, kind of sudden change of the new and a reevaluation of the old. And this shift of focus. It's this real opportunity. It just feels like these big winds of change going, just blowing out the old and coming into the new. And as soon as kind of that, I'm sort of picturing like Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz, this big cyclone picking her up out of her normal life where she knew what to expect and dropping her in the middle of this crazy new world with new adventures. And it's scary all of a sudden. And she kind of has to go on this adventure and accomplish things that she would never have done in her old life. And all of a sudden, in these new circumstances, we find our values shift and we come to understand our strengths so much better when we're forced to rely on them and they're not just theoretical. And we have to come into relationships still with others and not be on this adventure on our own. So there's this things in your life and in this collective are shifting. There's something new that's kind of happening and kind of showing you that the old life is not like it's done and gone, like obliterated completely. And even in, The Wizard of Oz, Dorothy does go back home. But she has these new insights and she's had these new experiences and understanding. So it doesn't necessarily mean that your old life is gone for good, but it's your perspective and your perception has changed. So that's the kind of thing where the old is gone forever because you can't unsee what you've seen now. The old is gone forever because you can never go back to how you thought then before you knew and thought what you think now. And so you may still live and play in that old life, in the structure of it, but it's become a new reality. It's become a new world because you have become new and you have a different perception. And so you may behave differently and have different values. And in that, there is this aliveness of you no longer living your life on this kind of autopilot or being this cog in a machine. Is you have to be an active agent and an active participant in yourself. Or in your own life in order to live and thrive and break free from the constraints to really embody this new perspective. So there's this element here with the two coins. There's this idea of balance again. So we've got a couple planets moving into Libra this season, and so there's this sense of balance. There's also with this card, with these kind of two round objects. It's not so illustrated on this particular card, but in other decks, we bring into the sense of the infinity of, so the infinity sign with these kind of this figure 8 looping between these two spheres. And so there's this sense of kind of like the spiral of this kind of infinite loop that we go through in our lives, where there's always renewal and then stability and then change and then growth and then stability and then the change again and all of that. This kind of goes back in this loop where we're kind of juggling back and forth this kind of this loop and change in our lives. And this card is also really, it's empowering but realistic. It's in this line of, you are neither the servant nor the master of circumstance. And there can be many people that kind of preach either way, where, you know, that you are just kind of the victim of circumstance and that life just happens and you're not really at fault and things just kind of happen to you and you just have to navigate the world as it throws things at you and shoulder on, and just kind of deal with it. Other people can go very kind of far into the, you know, you're the master of your life. You can manifest anything that you want, anything. The universe will bow to your control. All you have to do is manifest and believe it hard enough. When the reality is this balance of in between, is you are both an agent and an object. You are able to enact your will on the universe. You are able to manifest. You are able to dream and create. And yet you are also a being in the world of other agents who manifest and who do things, and a world where events and things happen outside of your control. So you are both at the whim of the fates and the other things that can happen. You're not the master of that. And yet you do have this agency and mastery of being able to choose your perspective, being able to choose your actions, and to navigate this world, and do have this power to create yourself. So it is this balance of both, and needing to, that can be a very liberating way to think, because you can free from both. You're not simply the victim, which can feel very, very stuck, but you're also not like a failure if you can't manifest everything you want, or this ultimate responsible deity as if you're the one who controls the universe. No, you're responsible for some things, and you are just a partaker and experiencer of others. So that can be just a very grounding kind of thing to say, okay, like, you don't have to freak out so much. And that's very helpful in this particular Virgo season, where we can get really like in our heads of like, we've got to be really critical and things have to work out just so. And so feeling either the weight of responsibility or this exhausted victimhood is really not very productive. So this card is really kind of injecting a bit of like realism, but also encouragement there in that capacity. Yeah, so really, yeah, this card is just, there's a lot of shift that may seem subtle because it's a perspective shift, but that subtle shift then can transform your life completely, and you get to be an agent. You get to make the choices that you choose and focus and experience in your life, where you, because of this change, you will both have things that these new blessings come in because you're putting yourself in a new path, but also new challenges, and probably some self-doubt. Certainly in Virgo season, that's a prime time for self-doubt. But anytime you're doing something new, then you're not a master. It's something new. It is scary. And so there is all this doubt, this imposter syndrome. Oh my God, am I doing this right? Am I going to succeed? Is all of this going to fall down? Who am I to think I can do this? I should just go back to my old life because at least I knew what was going on. And we can want to go back to the familiar because we're afraid of what can happen in the new world and in this new kind of way of being. But that's just this encouragement to like really keep your knees strong here, and knees as this kind of stable transporter of your body. Don't be too soft or too rigid, and then that gives you the flexibility, but also the strength to kind of keep going on your yellow brick road journey. So yeah, I think I'm going to leave it with that then. That's kind of a lot kind of stirring up in this mutable season. So already there's this mutable energy anyway of change of season, and this just sort of feels like the winds of change also blowing in as well for us. So it did come out reversed, meaning that, but honestly, like, because it's this infinity loop, this reversal is kind of like, you could be anywhere in on this loop. And I'm not necessarily feeling like, reversals can sometimes be read as a delay or like a challenge. In this case, this might be like, it's not blowing in all of a sudden, like that your life might not suddenly change overnight. It might be kind of a gradual change, with this reversal, but it's kind of, you know, I'm not really feeling like leaning too heavily on it because it already, like, there's already a bit of a kind of topsy-turvy feeling to it. Doesn't really feel like it needs to be emphasized anymore. So yeah, that's your tarot reading for this season. Two of Coins, everybody. So yeah, best of luck as you are no longer in Kansas anymore this season. And if you are looking for further guidance that's more personal, because this tarot reading was collective, you are welcome to check out my YouTube channel. I have the monthly tarot horoscopes, so those are specific horoscopes, tarot readings for your sun sign, and those are completely free. So the August season's already up, and then September will be next, so do check that out. This is a pay what you can workshop, so any donations are very appreciated that help me to be able to keep making this content and to dream up bigger things for you. So do support me there. I would love that very much. And you are, of course, welcome to always share this with anybody in your life that you think could use a little bit of support as well. Thank you so much, and I will see you next month.